The research ship Harmony's Hope drifted quietly through space, its crew busy with their daily work. Captain Elena Voss walked through the ship's bright hallways, checking on her people. The ship was home to 300 souls, scientists, engineers, their families, and children who laughed and played in the common areas. Elena smiled as she watched young Billy Carter teach his little sister how to draw star maps. The boy was only 12, but he was smart and kind. His father, Paul, worked in the engine room, keeping their ship running smoothly. Families like theirs had left Earth years ago to explore the galaxy and build new homes among the stars. Dr. Marcus Kane sat at his communication desk, monitoring signals from nearby space. He was a quiet man who loved his work. The radio chatter was normal today. Cargo ships reporting their routes, mining stations asking for supplies, and the usual background noise of space traffic. That the Harmony's Hope was not a military vessel. It had basic shields and sensors, but no weapons. Elena's people were explorers, not warriors. They studied planets, collected samples, and sent their findings back to the colonies. Their current mission was simple: map the asteroid field in Sector 7 and look for rare minerals. In the ship's school, teacher Amy Foster helped 15 children with their lessons. The kids came from different families, but they all got along well. They studied math, science, and history together. Billy Carter often helped the younger ones with their homework. His best friend was Lisa Stone, a 10-year-old girl whose mother worked as the ship's doctor. Dr. Helen Ross finished her medical rounds in the small clinic. Everyone was healthy and happy. Life aboard the Harmony's Hope was peaceful. The crew worked together like a big family, sharing meals and celebrating birthdays together. Elena often thought they were lucky to live this way. The attack came without warning. Red lights flashed across the ship as alarms screamed. Elena ran to the bridge as her crew rushed to their stations. "What's happening?" she called out. "Unknown ships approaching fast," reported Jake Morrison, their security officer. He was the only person on board with military training. 3 vessels, heavily armed. "They're not responding to our signals." Elena's heart sank as she saw the ships on the screen. They were dark and ugly, built for war. Black metal hulls covered in weapon ports and armor plating. These were pirate ships, and they were closing in fast. "This is Captain Elena Voss of the research vessel Harmony's Hope," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We are a peaceful scientific mission. We carry no weapons or valuable cargo. Please identify yourselves." The response came as laser fire across their bow. The ship shook as their shields took the hit. "They're jamming our communications," Marcus called out. "I can't reach the colonies for help." Elena knew they were in terrible trouble. The pirates wanted them alive, or they would have destroyed the ship already. That meant slavery. She had heard the stories. Pirates who captured civilian ships and sold their crews to the highest bidder. The lead pirate ship moved alongside them. A harsh voice crackled over their speakers. "This is Commander Zarknethus of the Crimson Tide. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and we will kill half your crew as an example." Elena's hands shook as she gave the order to stop the engines. She had to protect her people, especially the children. Maybe if they cooperated, the pirates would show mercy. Heavy footsteps echoed through the halls as armed pirates stormed aboard. They wore black armor and carried energy weapons. Their leader was a tall alien with red skin and sharp teeth. His eyes were cold and cruel. "Gather everyone in the main cargo bay," Zark ordered his men. "Sort them by species and age. The humans will bring a good price at the slave markets." Elena watched in horror as her crew and their families were herded like animals. Parents held their children close, trying to comfort them. Billy Carter stayed brave, helping to calm the younger kids. His father Paul tried to shield him with his body. Dr. Ross moved among the people, checking for injuries. Several crew members had been beaten for moving too slowly. The pirates showed no mercy, even to the children. Marcus worked desperately. At his communication station, hidden behind a fallen beam, the pirates had missed him in their rush to secure the ship. His hands flew over the controls as he tried to repair the damaged transmitter. "They're taking us to their base," Alana heard one pirate say. "The Iron Fist is always looking for new workers. These humans look strong enough for the mines." Fear gripped Alana's heart. The Iron Fist was a legend among spacers, a massive pirate fortress where thousands of slaves lived and died in terrible conditions. No one who went there ever came back. Marcus found a way to boost the transmitter's power for just a few seconds. It would only work once before burning out completely. He had to make it count. With shaking fingers, he recorded a simple message. "This is civilian vessel Harmony's Hope. We are under attack by pirates. They're taking us as slaves. If anyone receives this, please help us. We have children aboard." He sent the signal toward Earth space, hoping someone would hear it. A transmitter sparked and died, but the message was gone. Racing through the darkness at the speed of light, the pirates dragged Marcus away to join the others. He said nothing about the message, praying it would reach friendly ears. Back on Earth, Admiral Lisa Stone sat in the Deep Space Command Center. She was a tough woman who had served in the military for 20 years. The communication officer handed her a datapad with the intercepted message. Lisa's face went hard as she read the words. She knew about the Harmony's Hope, peaceful people who had left Earth to build a better life. Now they were in the hands of slavers, and children were involved. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth's people were crying for help. As she read the message again, something fierce and protective awakened in her chest. "Get me Commander Jake Morrison," she ordered. "Tell him we have people to bring home." Commander Jake Morrison stood in the briefing room at Earth's Deep Space Command. Around the table sat the best soldiers Earth had to offer. Each one had volunteered for what everyone knew would be a dangerous mission. Admiral Lisa Stone had shown them the message from the Harmony's Hope, and every face in the room had gone hard with anger. "The pirate base is called the Iron Fist," Jake said, pointing to the holographic display. "It's built inside a massive asteroid in the outer rim. Intelligence says it holds over 10,000 slaves from dozens of different species." Sergeant Amy Foster leaned forward. She was a small woman, but everyone knew she was deadly with explosives. "How many pirates are we talking about, sir?" "About 5,000 fighters, plus their ships," Jake replied. "The base has been growing for over a century. No government has ever been able to touch it." Lieutenant Ben Clark studied the tactical display. He was young but brilliant at planning battles. Their defenses look impressive. Shield generators, weapon platforms, and a fighter squadron. They're expecting attacks from the outside. Jake nodded. "That's why we're going to do something they won't expect. Our ship is the ESS Retribution, the newest vessel in the Earth fleet. She's fast, smart, and built for war." Dr. Helen Ross, the mission psychologist, watched the crew's faces. She saw determination in their eyes, not fear. "What about the hostages? How do we get 300 people out of a fortress?" "We don't fight their strength," Jake explained. "We use our advantages. Humans are different from other species. We adapt fast. We don't give up, and we protect our own no matter what." The briefing continued for hours. Intelligence Officer Lieutenant Grace Miller shared everything they knew about the Crimson Tide Pirates. The criminal organization had been taking slaves for decades. They sold strong species to mining operations and kept the weak ones for their own cruel purposes. "The pirates sort their prisoners by value," Grace explained. Humans are considered middle-grade slaves, not as strong as some species, but more adaptable than others. They'll probably put our people to work in the mines or factories. Amy Foster's hands clenched into fists. They picked the wrong species to mess with. The SS Retribution launched from Earth 3 days later. She was a beautiful ship, sleek and powerful. Her hull was made of the strongest metals Earth could produce. Her weapons were designed by human engineers, understood that sometimes you had to fight dirty to win. The crew of 200 moved through the ship with quiet purpose. They knew this mission was different from anything they had done before. This was not about territory or politics. This was about bringing their people home. During the long journey through space, the crew prepared for battle. They studied the enemy's tactics and weaknesses. They practiced boarding actions and rescue operations. Most importantly, they bonded. As a team, engineer Paul Carter's son Billy was just one of the children they were racing to save, but every crew member felt personally responsible for him. They had seen his picture in the mission files, a brave boy with bright eyes and a kind smile. He represented all the innocent people counting on them. Meanwhile, aboard the Iron Fist, the prisoners from Harmony's Hope were learning what slavery meant. The pirate base was a nightmare of metal corridors and crowded cells. The air was thick and dirty, and the sounds of suffering echoed from every level. Captain Elena Voss tried to keep her people's spirits up, but it was hard. The pirates had separated the adults from the children, claiming it was for processing. The adults were put to work immediately, cleaning, cooking, and maintaining the base's systems. Billy Carter found himself in a cell with 15 other children from different ships. Some had been prisoners for months or even years. A quiet girl named Mary told him about the rules. Stay quiet, work hard, and don't fight back. The guards are cruel, but they're worse if you make them angry. But Billy was different. He was from Earth, and Earth children were raised on stories of heroes who never gave up. He began talking to the other kids, sharing hope and making plans. Someone will come for us, he promised them. We just have to be ready. The boy's father, Paul Carter, was assigned to work in the base's engine room. The pirates needed his engineering skills to keep their stolen ships running. As he worked, he carefully studied the base's systems, looking for weaknesses. He was just one man, but he was human, and humans never stopped fighting. Dr. Marcus Kane, the communications officer who had sent the SOS message, was put to work repairing damaged equipment. The pirates didn't know he had sent the signal that would bring their doom. He worked in silence, but his eyes burned with hope. The other prisoners watched the humans with curiosity. Most species, when captured, accepted their fate and tried to survive, but the humans were different. They whispered to each other in small groups. They shared their food and took care of the weak. Even the children showed a strength that amazed the older prisoners. An elderly alien named Korvik had been a slave for 5 years. He had watched hundreds of different species pass through the Iron Fist. I have never seen anything like these humans, he told another prisoner. They do not break. Even their young ones have fire in their eyes. Back on the ESS Retribution, Commander Morrison stood on the bridge watching the stars. His ship was still days away from the target, but he could feel the tension building among his crew. They were ready to fight, ready to die if necessary to save their people. Lieutenant Clark approached with the final battle plans. Sir, we've run the simulations 100 times. The odds are not good. We're one ship against a fortress. Jake smiled grimly. Ben, you're thinking like other species think. We're not going to fight their fight. We're going to fight our fight. And when we do, they'll learn what it means to mess with Earth's children. The ship flew on through the darkness, carrying humanity's answer to the desperate cry for help. Behind them, Earth waited for news. Ahead lay the Iron Fist and the greatest, challenge any of them had ever faced. But they were human, and humans had never learned how to quit. The ESS Retribution dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the asteroid belt. Commander Jake Morrison stared at the massive fortress floating in the darkness ahead. The Iron Fist was bigger than he had imagined, a mountain of metal and rock, bristling with weapons and shield generators. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Ben Clark. "It's like a city in space." The base was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid the size of a small moon. Docking bays carved into its surface showed dozens of pirate ships coming and going. Weapon platforms jutted from the rock like deadly thorns. Energy shields shimmered around the entire structure. Sensors show about 3,000 ships docked. "Inside," reported Grace Miller from her station, "the base has been growing for decades, layer upon layer of metal and rock." Jake studied the tactical display. Every military academy in the galaxy taught that the Iron Fist was impossible to attack. Its shields could stop the weapons of an entire fleet. Its guns could destroy attacking ships before they got close. But Jake was not thinking like other military leaders. "We're not going to attack it," he announced. "We're going to make them come to us." The crew looked confused. Sergeant Amy Foster raised her hand. "Sir, how do we rescue the prisoners if we don't go inside?" Jake smiled. "We make them bring the prisoners to us." "Ben, what's the one thing every fortress fears most?" The young lieutenant thought for a moment. "Fire, sir. Internal fire that spreads and can't be controlled." "Exactly. Amy, I need you to prepare some special presents for our pirate friends." While the crew worked on Jake's plan, the ESS Retribution moved closer to the Iron Fist. They stayed hidden behind smaller asteroids, using the ship's advanced stealth systems. Earth's technology was different from what most species used. More flexible, more creative. Inside the fortress, life continued as normal. Pirates counted their profits, while slaves worked in terrible conditions. Billy Carter had been assigned to clean the corridors on Level 7. As he worked, he memorized every detail: guard positions, door codes, and escape routes. The boy had not given up hope. At night, in the crowded cell, he whispered to the other children, "Someone is coming for us. I can feel it." Mary, the quiet girl who had been a prisoner for months, shook her head. "No one comes here. The Iron Fist is too strong. My parents tried to rescue me, but their ship was destroyed." "My people are different," Billy said with confidence. "We come from Earth. We don't leave our own behind." An older boy laughed bitterly. "Earth is just another planet. What makes you so special?" Billy thought about the stories his father had told him. Stories of humans who climbed the highest mountains, crossed the deepest oceans, and survived in places where nothing should live. "We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. It made us strong. It made us never give up." Meanwhile, Captain Eleni Voss was working in the base's kitchen. The pirates made her cook for the guards, treating her like property. But Elena was watching and learning. She saw how the guards moved when they changed shifts, and which areas had fewer people. Dr. Marcus Kane had been assigned to repair communication equipment. The pirates thought he was just a simple technician, but Marcus was much more. He quietly built a small radio transmitter from spare parts, hiding it inside a toolbox. Engineer Paul Carter worked in the main power plant. The pirates needed his skills to keep their stolen technology running. As he fixed their machines, Paul carefully studied the base's power systems. He found something interesting. The entire fortress was powered by a single massive reactor. If something happened to it, the whole base would go dark. Back on the ESS Retribution, the crew put their plan into action. They captured a small pirate patrol ship that had wandered away from the main base. The 3 pirates inside were terrified when they saw humans pointing weapons at them. "Please don't kill us," begged the lead pirate, a yellow-skinned alien with 4 arms. We were just doing patrol duty. Jake leaned close to the trembling alien. I want information. Tell me about the Iron Fist's defenses, and you might live. The pirate looked confused. You're planning to attack the Iron Fist? That's impossible. No one can break through those shields. We're human, Jake said simply. We don't care about. Impossible. The alien's eyes went wide with fear. He had heard stories about humans, the crazy species from the Deathworld called Earth. They were known for doing things that made no sense to other races. Your people are insane, the pirate whispered. You fight when you should run. You take risks that could kill you. That's why the smart criminal groups avoid Earth ships. Grace Miller stepped forward. Tell us about the prisoner levels. Where? Do you keep the slaves? The frightened pirate told them everything. The Iron Fist was divided into sections, military areas, living quarters for the pirates, and the slave levels deep inside the asteroid. The prisoners were kept in terrible conditions, but they were valuable property. The pirates would not want to lose them. After getting all the information they could, Jake made a decision that shocked even his own crew. He let the pirates go. Double quote, sir. Why did you release them? Amy asked. Jake watched the small ship race back toward the Iron Fist. Because now they'll warn their friends about us. They'll tell everyone that a human ship is here, planning to attack. The pirates will think we're crazy, and they'll be right. Ben Clark began to understand. You want them to think we're going to do something stupid and desperate. Exactly. And while they're preparing for a crazy human attack, we'll do something else entirely, something they'll never expect. The crew worked through the night, preparing for the most dangerous mission any of them had ever attempted. They were going to infiltrate the Iron Fist not as conquerors, but as something much more dangerous, as humans who would never stop fighting for their own people. Inside the fortress, word spread quickly about the human ship lurking in the asteroid field. The pirates laughed and made jokes about the foolish Earth, people who thought they could challenge the mighty Iron Fist. But some of the older pirates, the ones who had lived long enough to learn wisdom, felt a chill of fear. They remembered the stories about humans, the species that had turned a Deathworld into their home, that fought with a fury that no other race could match. These were the people who had answered the desperate call for help, and they were coming. The attack began at exactly midnight, ship time. Commander Jake Morrison gave the signal, and the ESS Retribution roared out of hiding like an angry beast. Her engines blazed as she charged straight at the Iron Fist's massive shields. The pirates were ready for them. Alarms screamed across the fortress as hundreds of weapon systems turned toward the approaching human ship. Energy beams and missiles filled the space between them, creating a deadly light show in the darkness. All hands, brace for impact, Jake called over the ship's communication system. The Retribution twisted and rolled, dodging the heaviest fire while their own weapons struck back. But this was not a battle the humans could win through force alone. Lieutenant Ben Clark worked at the tactical station, his fingers flying over the controls, shields at 60% and falling fast. We can't take much more of this. We don't need to, Jake replied. Amy, are your packages ready? Sergeant Amy Foster grinned as she prepared her special weapons. These were not normal explosives. Human engineers had designed them to do something very specific, create chaos inside the enemy base without destroying it completely. The first wave of Amy's devices struck the Iron Fist's outer hull. They looked like simple bombs, but they carried a surprise. Instead of exploding, they released thousands of tiny robots that began eating through the metal walls. Inside the fortress, emergency lights flashed as hull breaches appeared in dozens of places. The pirates rushed to seal the holes, but as soon as they fixed one, two more opened nearby. The tiny robots were programmed to avoid the prisoner levels while causing maximum damage everywhere else. What kind of weapons are these? Shouted Zark. Nethys, the pirate commander. His control room was filled with damage reports from every section of the base. They're not trying to destroy us. They're trying to drive us crazy. His second in command, a large alien with gray skin, studied the attack patterns. Sir, I think they're trying to force us to evacuate certain sections. Look at where the damage is concentrated. Zark looked at the tactical display and felt a chill run down his spine. The humans were not attacking randomly. They were carefully destroying the base's most important systems: life support, communications, and power distribution. But they were leaving escape routes open. On the prisoner levels, the humans felt the base shaking around them. Billy Carter pressed his ear to the wall, listening to the distant sounds of battle. "That's them," he whispered to the other children. "That's our people coming for us." Mary looked scared. "What if the pirates kill us before the rescue arrives?" Billy shook his head. "They won't. We're too valuable to them. Besides, whoever is attacking knows what they're doing. Listen to how the explosions are getting closer, but never hit our level." The boy was right. The human attack was planned down to the smallest detail. Every blast, every system failure was designed to create panic without harming the prisoners. It was the kind of precise thinking warfare the humans excelled at. Captain Elena Voss felt the floor shake beneath her feet as she worked in the kitchen. Around her, pirate guards ran back and forth, shouting orders and trying to understand what was happening. In all the confusion, no one was watching the human prisoners closely. Elena caught the eye of Dr. Marcus Kane across the room. The communications officer nodded slightly. He understood. This was their chance to act. Meanwhile, Engineer Paul Carter was in the power plant when the attacks began. The pirates needed him to keep the reactor running as systems failed all around them. But Paul had other plans. He had spent days studying the base's power grid, and now he knew exactly how to help the rescue mission out. His explosions echoed through the base. Paul quietly began shutting down non-essential systems. He made it look like battle damage, but he was actually clearing the way for the human boarding parties that would come next. Back on the ESS Retribution, the crew prepared for the second phase of their plan. The ship had taken heavy damage, but she was still fighting. More importantly, the chaos inside the Iron Fist was exactly what Jake had hoped for. "Reading massive system failures throughout the base," reported Grace Miller. "Their shields are fluctuating as power is diverted to damage control." Jake smiled grimly. "That's our opening. Launch the boarding pods." Dozens of small craft shot out from the Retribution's launch bays. Each one carried a team of human soldiers equipped for close combat. But these were not normal boarding pods. They were designed to look like debris from the battle. The Iron Fist's defenses ignored them, thinking they were just pieces of destroyed equipment floating in space. By the time the pirates realized their mistake, the human soldiers were already cutting through the hull in a dozen different places. Sergeant Amy Foster led the first team through a breach near the prisoner levels. The corridors were dark and filled with smoke from the ongoing attacks. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows on the walls, but the humans moved through it like they were born for this kind of fighting. "Remember," Amy whispered to her team, "we're here to rescue people, not to be heroes. Stay together and watch each other's backs." The team moved through the base with practiced skill. They had studied the layout for days, and they knew exactly where to go. But they also knew how to adapt when things went wrong, because humans had learned to survive by being flexible. In the control room, Zark Nethys was losing his mind. His fortress was being torn apart by an enemy that seemed to anticipate his every move. Worse, he was getting reports of human soldiers inside the base, moving through areas that should have been impossible to reach. "How are they doing this?" he screamed at his officers. We have the strongest defenses in the galaxy. His gray-skinned second-in-command looked at the tactical displays with growing understanding. Sir, I don't think they're trying to conquer. U.S., I think they're trying to rescue their people. Zark's eyes widened as he realized the truth. This was not a military conquest. This was a rescue mission carried out with the fury and determination that only humans possessed. They were not fighting to win territory or treasure. They were fighting to bring their children home. For the first time in his long career as a pirate, Zark Nethys felt real fear. He was facing an enemy that would never stop, never surrender, and never leave their own behind. He was facing the children of Earth, and they had come to collect what was theirs. The Iron Fist was falling apart. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the massive base as systems failed one by one. In the control room, Zark Nethys watched his empire crumble on the tactical screens. Human soldiers were everywhere, moving through his fortress like ghosts. Sir, we're losing control of sections 7 through 12, reported his communications officer. The humans have reached the prisoner levels. Zark slammed his fist on the console. Send all available guards. To stop them. Kill the human prisoners if you have to. Maybe that will make them stop. But his gray-skinned second-in-command shook his head. Sir, I don't think that will work. These humans are different. Killing their people will only make them fight harder. On Level 7, Billy Carter heard the sound of running feet in the corridor outside his cell. The guards were shouting in their alien language, but he could hear fear in their voices. Then came a new sound, the sharp crack of human energy weapons. Get ready, Billy whispered to the other children. They're here. The cell door exploded inward as Sergeant Amy Foster and her team burst through. The small woman moved like lightning, her weapon sweeping the room for threats. When she saw the children huddled together, her hard expression softened. Are you Billy Carter? She asked the boy. Billy nodded, trying not to cry with relief. Yes, ma'am. These are the other kids. Some of them aren't from our ship. Amy smiled. Well, they are now. We're taking everyone home. As her team secured the area, Amy knelt beside the children. I need you all to stay close and do exactly what we say. Can you do that for me? The children nodded eagerly. Even Mary, who had given up hope, felt something new stirring in her chest. These humans had kept their promise. They had come for people they had never met, risking everything to help strangers dot in another part of the base. Commander Jake Morrison led his team toward the main control room. Pirates tried to stop them at every turn, but the humans fought with a fury that shocked their enemies. They moved through the corridors like a force of nature, unstoppable and deadly. Sir, we've reached the prisoner levels, Amy's voice crackled. Over the radio. Beginning evacuation now. Jake felt a moment of relief, but he knew the mission was not over yet. Roger that. Keep them safe, Amy. We're going for the command center. The pirates had barricaded themselves behind heavy blast doors, but human engineering had an answer for that too. Lieutenant Ben Clark placed shaped charges that cut through the metal like paper. The doors fell with a thunderous crash. Inside, the control room, Zark Nethys waited with his personal guards. The pirate leader had drawn his weapon, ready for a final fight. When Jake Morrison stepped through the smoke, Zark felt his blood run cold. The human commander was not particularly large or strong-looking, but his eyes burned with something Zark had never seen before. This was not anger or hatred. It was something deeper. This was the look of a protector who would never stop fighting. Surrender now, and we'll let you live, Jake said simply. Zark laughed bitterly. You think you can just walk in here and take what you want? Do you know who I am? I've been raiding ships for 50 years. I've destroyed entire fleets. Jake stepped closer, his weapon steady. You made one mistake, Zark. You took our children. Ugh. Pirate leader's confidence cracked. What makes you humans think you're so special? You're just another species. Weaker than most. Maybe, Jake agreed. But we come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to fight back. We learned to protect each other. And we learned to never, ever give up on our own. The battle in the control room was brief but fierce. Zark's guards were tough fighters, but they had never faced humans in close combat before. The pirates fought for money and power, but the humans fought for something much stronger. They fought for family. When the smoke cleared, Zark Nethys lay defeated on the floor. Around him, his criminal empire was collapsing as human teams secured every level of the Iron Fist. The great pirate fortress that had terrorized the galaxy for decades was finally broken. But Jake Morrison was not interested in conquest. He spoke into his radio. All teams, status report. How are our people? The answers came back quickly. Captain Elena Voss and her crew were safe. Dr. Marcus Kane was helping to coordinate the evacuation. Engineer Paul Carter had been reunited with his son Billy, and both were crying tears of joy. Sir, Amy's voice came over the radio. We've got a problem. There are thousands of other prisoners here. Different species, some who've been slaves for years. What do we do with them? Jake looked around the control room, then at the tactical display showing the massive base. The Iron Fist held more than just the crew of Harmony's Hope. It held thousands of innocent people who had been stolen from their families and homes. The decision was easy. We take them all, Jake said. Every single one. His crew worked for hours, moving through the base and freeing every prisoner they could find. The other aliens stared in amazement as the humans opened cell after cell, asking nothing in return. These strange people from the Deathworld called Earth were risking everything to help complete strangers. An old alien named Cormac, who had been a slave for 5 years, watched in wonder as human soldiers gently helped him toward the escape ships. Why are you doing this? He asked. We are not your people. The young soldier smiled. Yes, you are. Anyone who needs help is our people. The evacuation took most of the night. The ESS Retribution and several captured pirate ships carried the freed prisoners away from the Iron Fist. As they flew toward safety, Billy Carter stood at a window watching the fortress grow smaller behind them. His father, Paul, put a hand on the boy's shoulder. What are you thinking about, son? Billy looked up with serious eyes. I was thinking about what that soldier said, about how anyone who needs help is our people. Is that really what humans believe? Paul smiled proudly. That's exactly what we believe, Billy. And that's why people call for help when they're in trouble, because they know Earth's children will always answer. Behind them, the Iron Fist drifted empty in space. Its reign of terror finally ended. Word of its fall would spread quickly through the criminal underworld. Pirates everywhere would learn a new truth, that humans were not to be underestimated. The ESS Retribution turned toward Earth, carrying heroes and refugees alike. In the ship's medical bay, Dr. Helen Ross tended to the freed prisoners while marveling at their stories. Each one spoke of the same thing, how the humans had refused to leave anyone behind. On the bridge, Commander Jake Morrison stood watching. The stars ahead. Admiral Lisa Stone's voice crackled over the long-range radio, congratulating him on the mission's success. Well done, Jake, she said. Earth is proud of you. Jake smiled as he thought about Billy Carter and all the other children, now safe aboard his ship. We just did what we had to do, Admiral. Someone called for help, and we answered. As the ship flew through space toward home, a new message was being broadcast across the galaxy. It was simple but powerful. If you need help, call Earth. They always come. The children of the Deathworld had proven once again that they would never abandon those in need. And in the darkness of space, that promise shone like a beacon of hope for all who heard it.